Delco. What is Delco? Urban Dictionary, maybe the best definition of any place in the history of any place. Delco is the nickname for Delaware County. Not just a place to live, it's a way of life. Delco isn't something you obtain with a short visit while you're passing through. Never has been, or don't actually live here, you just won't understand. Delco is something you can spot across the bar while out of town. Speaking of bars, there's 42-to-1 ratio when it comes to bars to libraries. Delco people love being from Delco. I don't know if there's anything special from Delco, except being a Delco guy, I kind of like it.
What is up, Delaware County, and welcome back for episode number 87 of Delco Baseball Now. He's Ben Thorpe. I'm Brendan Ricciardi. We are joined by Eric Genther, Haverford School and Rhode Island alum, New York Yankees prospect. Is that still weird to hear, like actually being said?
It is. It definitely is a little bit. I mean, I think now it's starting to settle in more, and like the euphoria of the beginning of a professional career essentially is kind of setting aside, but it's a good feeling. It's good to hear.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you in. As we were talking before we started recording, you were, I believe, our fourth ever interview guest. Fifth, but the first one there was no guest. It was just episode 1, episode 5. I was still in an ankle brace. You were, I guess, probably done with your sophomore, junior year of college, right?
Freshman.
Just after freshman.
Year,
wow.
Yeah. So 4 years ago now? Maybe 5?
I guess that was, I think I started summer of 22, so probably 3 at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess
long time ago.
Long time ago. Come a long way. Glad to have you here. I guess to kind of get things started, can you just take us through like the process of how you ended up with the Yankees? Obviously undrafted. So what was that whole like draft couple day process? The outfall. Like how did that all go down?
Yeah. So for me, I think it was obviously a little different than most guys. Being a senior, no eligibility left, undrafted free agent. I knew, like, after my senior year at Rhode Island, there was a possibility. I would say it was kind of like 50-50 chance, right? It was like I was kind of looking for jobs, too, while also balancing, like, training and just staying ready. I did a couple of pre-draft workouts, none with the Yankees, so, like, they weren't really on my kind of radar at all. Like, I didn't necessarily think they were in play. But, yeah, so leading up to the draft is, I want to say our season got done, like, mid-May pretty much. We lost in Baton Rouge in the regional, and then I came home and it was like a couple workouts, train, LinkedIn, look for jobs too. So like, it was a weird time. But then so the draft day rolls around, and for me, like a lot of the seniors will go in rounds like 7 through 10 as like a money saver or a senior sign, right, for draft bonuses and whatever. And so that period kind of came and went. There was a couple moments where I thought maybe I would go. But once that was over, I was a little bit like, all right, now it looks a little less likely. Just because you never really know, right? Like you're obviously optimistic going in. I was optimistic going in, but there's always those thoughts of you never really know. So then it gets to, rounds 18, 19, 20, and they come and go, and I'm like, all right, well, it's time to go to work. Like, baseball was great. I've had an awesome career. I've enjoyed every second of it. And then the scout for the Yankees, his name's Matt Hyde. He's the Northeast area scout. Gave me a call, and like I saw his number pop up, and right away I was like, all right, what else? What else could they be calling me for? And basically he just said, hey, we'd like to sign you as a free agent. And I pretty much didn't even let him finish the sentence. I was like, yes, I'll take it. So it was like, for as great of a day as it ended up being, it was like a horrible day, honestly, because like you're just sitting around for like hours, right, the whole day, just waiting, hoping for a phone call, and like it's just kind of agonizing. But then the relief of that was honestly one of the best feelings I've ever had. So it was great.
That's so bizarre. You're literally thinking your career's over, and next thing you know, you're ready to go down. So how does that work? Do they just like fly you down to, I guess, like the spring training complex? Probably.
Yeah, so for me, it was quick, right? Like he called me and had said, hey, we want to sign you. We agreed. And then hung up the phone because they're doing a million different things, right? Like they're signing other guys, they're talking to the guys that they've picked, and the whole process is pretty hectic. And then he called me back like an hour later and was like, yeah, we're going to fly you down tomorrow morning to Tampa, which is where the Yankees spring training complex is. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and at this point, it was probably like 8 o'clock at night. Like, it wasn't,
What do I
you know what I
pack?
mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's why I said, I was
Yeah.
like, this is going to sound
What-
stupid.
yeah.
But like, what do you want me to bring? Like,
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, you come tomorrow and you'll be there through the rest of the season. And I was like,
wow.
So like
2 pairs
months.
of underwear,
Yeah.
not one pair.
I pretty much took my whole entire like closet and just threw it in a suitcase and was like, you know what? My parents can bring stuff, whatever. Like, I wasn't even worried about it. I brought whatever I needed for baseball, some clothes, and then like I was like, you know what? Whatever else I can either like I can get down there or I can get it shipped. So yeah, so I went down. They ran us through like a couple week kind of like intro camp, like build up camp, because obviously guys are coming from different points of their season. There's obviously high school guys who have been finished for a little bit longer. But yeah, so we got built up. They kind of gave us the fast track of this is our org, this is what the organization's about. And then they sent us out to affiliates and played for about a month there and go home. So it was good. It was cool.
That's awesome.
So, what was the most important thing you forgot when you packed everything quick and had to get down there?
Question.
That is a good question. Honestly, my first day, it ended up not being that big of a deal, but my first day I didn't bring batting gloves.
Oh,
So I was
that
like,
could-
you know what, I don't want to
Alright.
be that guy who walks into the equipment room on the first day as like, hey, can I borrow some batting gloves? But so they took care of it all. Like, they ended up obviously hooking us up with all the gear that we needed, but I was kind of sketched for a little bit. Like, I was like, all right, this is not a good start. But yeah, I didn't bring any. Like, I thought that I did, but
I
because
mean,
batting gloves, like, you go through them quick, you know what I mean? So it's like when you don't have them, you barely even notice. And I got there and I was unpacking my bag, getting my locker ready, and I was like, I don't have batting gloves. So
Did you
batting
know?
gloves.
Did you know anybody there? Like anyone you played with, played against?
So another kid that ended up signing as a free agent, his name's Greg Bozzo. He played at Northeastern. So I played against him in college a lot. He was the only one, like, originally that I knew. There was a couple other guys that like I had played against or had mutual friends that like throughout the next couple weeks I would end up meeting. But in terms of the draft class, it was just Greg was the only kid I knew, which was cool. It was nice to have somebody at least. He lives in Jersey, so that was good.
Probably
to
grew
have
up a Yankees fan.
Yeah, he
Right?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
that's
he
gotta
was
be really
ecstatic.
cool.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
So what would you say? Kind of during how long were you there? About 2 months, probably.
So I got there July, like middle of July till like the first couple days of September. So yeah, 2 or 3 months.
Was there anything like what kind of things did you learn to kind of help you prepare now that you'll know you got a full season ahead?
Yeah, so that like is one of the things that you hear the most of, like, you're not ready for the grind of a professional season. And it's like, you think the college season is long. Like, for us at Rhode Island, it was always around like 50 games. It's like almost 2.5 times that for the minor league levels, which obviously is a big jump. Like, you're playing 6 games a week. Some days you're traveling. But I think, like, just getting a taste of, so for me, like, I was in single A for the last month in Tampa, and just kind of getting a little bit of a feel for the schedule, right? Like, playing 6 days a week is a little bit of a difference, but like every game's at night. You're still there from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till pretty much 10, right? Let's say if it's a 7 o'clock game, you're there till 10:30. I think you just kind of learn on the fly, right? Like, was the question? I kind of forget what you said.
No, just kind of like what are some things you learned?
Yeah. So, like, you just kind of learn how to manage, like, soreness, like taking care of your body. They have, pretty much everything there for you that you need to take care of yourself. So it's kind of like falls on you and whatever you need individually. But I think like having that kind of month and a half in single A was good to just like kind of help establish a routine. Like for me, I was doing a lot of like ice bath stuff and those boots that you put your legs in and they basically
Have you seen those?
Yeah,
those
yeah.
ones just, like,
I forget what they're
squeeze your
called.
legs,
Yeah.
get the blood
Muscle compression
flowing.
stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for me, like stuff like that, you just learn. It's like, okay, this is how I'm going to stay fresh. And then obviously, like, you think about it, scaling that out over a full season, like there's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs, I think physically, but also like you learn pretty quickly that mentally it's going to be extremely challenging as well. Like everybody in professional baseball has had some degree of success in college. Obviously, like most guys are very successful. So like you're kind of more successful than not, right? But then you jump into pro ball, and it's like the same thing going from high school to college. Like everybody that's here is really talented. So it's like the arms are really good, the defense is really good. Like there's going to be big swings, especially over the course of 120 games in the season, and it's like on top of managing yourself physically, like you have to learn that it's all like 6 days a week helps, right? Because it's like you have a bad game one night, well, it's like guess what? You're up the next morning and you're playing again. So it's like you kind of move on quick, and that was another big thing that I learned right away is like you don't really have time to sit back and be like, well, I stunk today, or like, I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of success this week or whatever it is, right? And you just kind of learn how to manage both the physical side of the game and the mental side of the game. And I'm not saying that like I've learned it all yet. Like obviously this first pro season, I'll get a ton, a lot more experience with it and build off of that. But it was good to at least have that foundation of like, all right, this is kind of what the deal is going to be for the rest of the season versus like showing up next season and having like 2 months to adjust, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's funny hearing a hitter's perspective compared to a pitcher. Like if you have a bad start, you have to think about it until
you kind of just sit on it for a little bit.
Until the next week. But as a hitter, you get to go right back
nice.
out. And even in college, you'd play, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I guess like Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And like it feels like a lot of games, right? But like then you start playing 6 a week and it's completely different.
It's always Monday off, right?
That was how we
usually,
were. In the minors or in college?
I think in minors, right?
Yeah,
I think
so
it was
we
always
have Mondays off. So
yeah.
we'll play. Where is it Sunday? It actually might be.
I remember.
I think
when Kyle was on, he would say there was all night games Tuesday to Saturday, then like afternoon Sunday, so you could go home. And
yes, that's
and
right.
Then,
and
then
Mondays.
have have Monday off.
So we'll go because sometimes you have to travel or like whatever it is, right? If you play, our league was lucky because it was with the. Tarpons, it's all Florida teams. So like our
nice.
travel wasn't, as crazy as some other teams have. So for us, like it was never like we would have to go somewhere, like we would play Sunday afternoon and have to travel straight to somewhere else or go, like we would always get to go back to Tampa
nice.
And then like maybe leave the next night or whatever it was. Like we didn't have anything more than like an hour and a half bus trip.
That's very nice. So you talked a little bit about your routine. What was maybe a game day routine that you've found that worked for you in the first few months there? I mean, just for some of the younger listeners and everything.
Yeah, for sure. So we went to the field or the clubhouse around like, so let's say we were playing at 7, probably 12:30, 1-ish. You can get there a little earlier if you want. I wasn't one of those guys every day because like I wanted to get sleep in, and like there's always a fine line of like, all right, you don't need to get there so early where it's like you're just saying that you got
it's like
there
detrimental
early,
to
right?
yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're not doing
Sleep is just
anything
important
productive.
as anything pre.
Exactly. So we would get there, say like 1. We would have some meetings, whether it was like a scout or there was days where we'd have team meetings with the manager and the rest of the coaching staff. But yeah, so we would usually have a scouting report for whoever was pitching that night, and then we would go into defensive work. We would do individual defense every day. So for me, like that was with the outfield group. We would do that. Some days we would have like a short lift before, and then we'll have like our BP routines. And then usually you have like an hour to eat or, whatever it is. And then we'll do Traject. Do you guys know what that is? It's that pitching machine that displays the pitcher, the video, and then it's like they get into the delivery and it comes out.
I didn't know what it was called.
So yeah, we'll do that a lot before games. That's optional, but for me, like before all of that, I guess I probably should have started with this, but before all of that, it's like I would go in, get stretched out by the trainers, whatever, like if I was a little sore or, just do some recovery stuff. But for me, like it became a thing of trying not to overdo it. It was like the biggest routine almost, like where like we had plenty of time to do everything. Like there was a lot of time to swing before games because we would do a lot of our stuff in the cages. So it's not like you're stuck with 4 rounds of on-field BP and then you have to go, shag, whatever. Like, especially when we were home, we would have like 2 hours if we wanted to hit. And it's like, you can take hundreds of swings before a game. And like, I learned quick that that's not necessarily going to help you, right? Like you get to the game and you're just exhausted. Especially at that point, it was so hot, like in July in Tampa, it's hot. So yeah, like the biggest thing was just kind of getting whatever I needed that day, like in terms of treatment. And then 2 is just like being disciplined enough not to take 200 swings before every game, and just like being a lot more precise with what you need, which is something that the Yankees are very big on, is like, we're not going to sit here and take, 150 swings off the machine every day until our swing feels perfect. It's like, get in, take high quality reps and get out. So that was honestly just the biggest overall kind of like key to whatever routine I was doing, was just like, keep it short, keep it meaningful, and let the game bring whatever it's going to bring for that day. So.
That's why it's so good you got these 2 months, because now, like you said, no one has it figured out yet, but at least you have an idea of like, here's how I'm going to go into the season and adjust on the fly. So like, what are, if anything, are you kind of doing different preparing for this season compared to college, knowing you have like 120 games, right?
Yeah.
I think it goes the higher level you go, it adds like 10 or 15 games, right?
So like single A level I was at like has the least amount of games. So in terms of your question, like trying to prepare your body, right, to build up to that, longer season, for me, it's just like, honestly, like training as I would any other off season in terms of like the actual physical skills part of it, but just like, having a better diet and you making sure that you're doing your conditioning and mobility and stretching. Mainly like more of the off the field stuff is the biggest thing that you have to stay disciplined with. That's very easy to get away from in college, because it's like you get back to campus or whatever and you just kind of want to go back to your house, or you're doing something on campus, whatever it is. It's a lot easier to stray away from something as simple as like a mobility routine, like just those off the field things that can sometimes get neglected when you get super busy, has been a big focus for me this off season. Just a lot of stretching, a lot of mobility, taking rest when I need it, because the last thing you want to do is go back to spring training and already be burnt out from the off season. So like just keeping in mind that like I said, there's a certain point of like doing too much where you're doing more harm than good.
Yeah. All right. I think last question before we kind of go back in time, talk a little high school and college here. Oh yeah, here's what I had. I lost my spot, but here we go. So do they give you like a specific off-season program, or they kind of just tell you like, hey, show up in shape and then that's that pretty much?
Yeah. So we have a really good off-season kind of routine like program. So for me, I'm actually going to try catching moving forward. So I was going to
ask that a little later on, once we
so,
talked about high school, because I remember when you came on the show for the first time, you're like, Rhode Island asked me to play left field against Tennessee, and I was just like shaking the whole time out there.
And it's honestly, it's like kind of been the opposite of that, like a revert back to like when the Yankees were like, hey, you want to catch? I was like,
I haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it was like, hey, just like I'm open to it, but just so you know, like it's not like I was catching like a couple weeks ago. Like this was like high school when I was catching. And they're like, yeah, we understand, whatever. But so obviously, like that takes up a big part of training now. Like when you're in the outfield, like you don't necessarily need to do defense every day in the off season. Like you can take ground balls, you can work on like footwork and stuff like that. But obviously, catching is a whole different beast. Even if you're already like a seasoned like catcher, like you've been in it for a while. For me, it's kind of like the fast track of like, all right, I need to get up to speed with where kind of the professional level of catching is at. So they give us pretty much everything from a strength routine, bat speed, like what we need to work on hitting. And then for me, like I have a whole catching routine too. So everything is laid out for you. Like you have your schedule for pretty much every day that you need it. And then we also have like a coach kind of assigned to each part of it that is like your contact for the off season.
Cool.
Like
very cool.
Proactive.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. Honestly, it's like I have a guy that I can reach out to for hitting. The strength coaches are always available. The catching coaches are always available, and it's like it just makes it a lot easier, right? Like you can send video. They actually encourage like send video. Reach out if you need
Those guys
any
have nothing better to do.
Exactly. It's awesome. Like they're like the coaching. It's not like they send you away and they're like, all right, hopefully you come back. Like
good luck.
They take they take really good care of us in terms of like making sure that we know what we need to get better in the off season. So it's really good the way that they have it set up.
Does it feel weird now that baseball's a job? because that was kind of a little transition, but like you're not just playing for the love of the game.
Right.
You know, you're not just playing because you love baseball. Like it's your body's your career now. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that is almost like the biggest thing to remember when there's days, especially now, like in the off season, where it's like, oh, you know, I maybe don't feel as good today. Like I'll just stay home for the day. It's like you got to remember, it's like you're not. Again, it's not just like, okay, I'll go back to school in a couple weeks and be playing baseball regardless. Is like, this is, like you said, it's your job. And if you don't perform, then, you know, it's not your job forever.
Back on LinkedIn.
Exactly. So it's like, it's definitely, I think it goes both ways a little bit in terms of like, it keeps you motivated to like do it, like to spend like a lot of time at it each day. But also the fact for me is like, that's also kind of a point that I come back to a lot when I'm, you know, whether I'm struggling or I'm a little frustrated or whatever. It's like, you know, I get to do this, play a game for my job. Like, at the end of the day, how bad is it really, right? You know what I mean? So that's like another thing that you can revert back to when it's like whether it gets super stressful or, you know, you're just having a bad day. It's like, I'm playing a game. Tomorrow's a new day. It's just
it's like us. We get to talk about people playing those games.
Yeah,
you know,
You know what? We're all living the dream, right?
Absolutely. All right, we'll take you back to Delco here, Drexel Hill, right?
Yeah.
Drexel Hill Little League. Is that who you played for, or
Lanark Hills.
Lanark.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So I was a
you're
Lanark
Ripken
kid.
guy.
Yeah, I was.
Let's go.
I
Nice.
was.
Let's go.
8U state champion.
Nice.
Cal Ripken.
Nice.
T-shirts printed.
Yeah.
we got more into Cal Ripken this year because like literally just markets better. So like you don't really know how good the Cal Ripken kids are because like around here it's like Media, Nell, Drexel Hill, Ridley, and then you forget about like the Springfields, Aston Valleys, you know. But
there's good competition.
Yeah, we got more into that. Went to the Haverford School. The last time we asked someone why they went to the Haverford School, Fred Jordan gave us the most insane monologue of all time.
Fred is a pretty insane guy.
So
I don't know if I'll be able to top
if you
Fred's
have a
monologue.
less chaotic story about what kind of led you there over, you know, like Bonner's right in your backyard, a lot of other closer schools, like what kind of drew you there?
Yeah, honestly, like this might be super boring and super underwhelming, especially compared to Fred. But so I was looking, like you said, it was either Haverford School, Bonner, or O'Hara. You know, my dad has been a basketball coach at O'Hara for a while now. He went to Bonner. My mom went to Prendy. So like I had plenty of ties to both the schools. A lot of my friends were going there. I actually wanted to go to both of those two over Haverford. Like, I ended up loving Haverford. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But it was more honestly like my parents were like, this is kind of what, like once we kind of figured out that it would be, you know, feasible for us as a family, like to do it, it was kind of like, they were like, this is where you're going to go. Like, you're at least going to try it. If you don't like it, we'll go from there. But it was like, this is where you're going to start. So super simple, super boring, but.
Can you imagine his Delco accent if he went to Bonner?
Oh,
it would
man,
be
yeah,
it
that
would
would
be very
be-
thick.
I
If you got
know,
roped
I
into
know.
that life, you
I
know.
know.
We've had so many Bonner kids on, and I would argue them and Ridley probably have the thickest Delco accents.
Yeah, it's
I think.
definitely.
At least I don't know if we've had any Interborough on. That's a pretty thick Delco
No, we
accent.
haven't. Yeah, any of the as you get closer to like Philly, I think that's there's like a sweet spot
the correlation.
for the accent.
The more close you get.
No, I can confirm that a little bit, at least like with, because I'm again like I grew up in Drexel Hill, like I'm friends with a ton of Bonner and O'Hara guys, and it's like it's a very accurate statement.
Yeah, probably the most passionate fan base in Delco.
100%.
Yeah, they
100%.
They love their
They're
teams,
nuts.
man.
But I guess talk a little bit about the Haverford experience. Obviously, you lost your junior year because of COVID, right?
Yeah, junior year.
And then they won the state after you left, right? Were you the
did.
problem?
Honestly, I think you could argue that my class was a
He's
problem.
Bryce
honestly.
Harper to the Phillies.
Yeah.
The Nationals won. Yeah.
Yeah. So I lost, obviously, like you said, junior year to COVID. Freshman year, I was on the freshman team, broke my thumb. So I actually don't think I played a single game that year, like a single competitive game. My sophomore year, I was on varsity. We were pretty good that year. That was the year that I think Malvern probably won state championship that year. I mean, they
Would have been 2019. I think that was probably. I think Chris Newell was still there, so I think
He
that's all.
definitely
That's all you
was-
need to
he
know.
was definitely,
Yeah.
Actually, he was
Yeah.
definitely still there
Yeah.
because I want to say he hit 2 home runs against us in the semifinal, and then they probably beat whoever they played in the state championship by a lot. But so that was my sophomore year. We were pretty good that year. We had really good arms, really good bats too. And then my senior year we were good. We started off really hot, and then kind of flamed out a little bit at the end of the season. I actually like the way we lost in the pace of playoffs to EA. It was a bad
just
loss.
tough
Like, no
to get.
disrespect to
No,
EA,
I mean, that's
just
just-
like they beat us. Like, they played a really good game, but it was like I think we beat them pretty easily twice in the regular season, and it's like EA is the one school that you don't want to end your high school career. As a
because like when
Haverford
Malvern
School
does
guy.
it, it's like it's Malvern.
Yeah, like
you know,
Malvern,
like
and they're always good. And,
yeah, but EA is
so-
more like a level rivalry.
Yeah,
you know?
and then we actually played Garnet. Like, we had to play another game after that as our senior day. And we played Garnet Valley, and we ended up losing again. So it was like,
it's like, all right, I'm ready for college.
and again, like, I had a great experience there. Like, the staff there was awesome. Like you said, Joey Martin's been on. Obviously, we're in Mike
Mike
Palumbo's
Palumbo's workplace.
To
Yeah.
Mike Palumbo for letting
Yeah.
us in here,
Yeah.
but it was like, it was an awesome experience. Even if the baseball side of it was kind of limited in terms of, like, again, like, I only played for 2 years pretty much, but I had an awesome experience, and the group of guys I played with my senior year were fantastic. So it was awesome.
Yeah, we love covering the Interact because we both played in the Central League and just going to Interact games like
It's a little bit of a different vibe.
my buddy Will Park graduated from Episcopal, I guess 2018. He's like every game's a playoff game
Yeah.
because you only play 10.
only play 10.
So like
Yeah.
it feels like every game is just that much more meaningful. And it just feels like, I don't know, the pitching in the Interact. Like you're never facing a bad arm.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
it was intense, and I think, like, especially that point that you made on the pitching side was like, it doesn't matter if you're playing Tuesday or Friday. Like, every team has two really good arms. Like, I think my senior year for Malvern, it was Fran O'Shell, who's with the Angels now, always been nasty, and they had, I'm trying to think, but they had like plenty of good arms. Episcopal had two really good arms. Penn Charter they're always good.
Any of the Ciani still there?
I think the youngest one.
Jake might have been there.
Jake,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was. I think he was.
Is he the one that
outfielder.
played at Hopkins?
yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
he was
he
still
was
there.
probably
Yeah,
still
he was
there.
good. He was
Yeah.
he was good. They had, I want to say they had Andrew Healy. Does that sound right?
Yeah, he
Penn
got
Charter?
he got drafted
They had
this year,
Healy,
too. Yeah.
and then a kid by the name of Danny Will, who ended up playing at Dartmouth.
know
I
him.
believe was his name. He was nasty. They were both left-handed. Like, for me, it was a nightmare. You know, it was a
Yeah,
left-handed
okay.
hitter. Even GA had two kids they had one kid, I think, who was committed to South Carolina at the time. Just like you said, every week it was a gauntlet. So it's fun. I mean, it makes it, obviously it's super stressful, but it's I think it prepared me really well for, a freshman year at Rhode Island. Like, you're not necessarily walking into a situation where you haven't seen good pitching. And I'm not saying like the other leagues in the area are like that.
No,
like,
but it's different. It's a little different.
the
I think.
Catholic League, the Central League, they both have their fair share of like extremely talented players. And it's just, I think, just because it's a smaller league with the Interact is like you don't get, like you said, that as big of
Yeah.
a swing.
There's a
in
depth in the
arms.
rotation, I think.
Exactly. But like with that being said, like we would play Catholic League and Central League teams, like in our midweek or the weekend games, and like we would still see great arms. And I know plenty of kids who have went through those leagues who are disgusting. So I think it just speaks a little bit to the high school baseball in the area, and you guys know
that's
it.
our job.
You guys know it better than anybody.
Yeah, because
so.
we both grew up playing Central League. I didn't know much about the Catholic League. Like we played Haverford School, but again, that's like one game way early in the year, whatever. Seems like a good transition into college here. Talk a little bit about what led you to Rhode Island. You kind of got time right away, right? So I'm sure that was part of the process where you're like, I just want to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've kind of lucked out a little bit with the situation that I walked into. Is like I went in as a catcher. I was recruited as a catcher. Quite honestly, like wasn't anywhere near the level of the other guys that we had in there. Like I just was my bat was ahead of the defense for sure at the time, and we had a couple outfielders go down to injury, and I happened to be hitting well, and they said, you know what, you're going to go learn outfield. And so went out there and picked it up pretty quick. I mean, it's outfield, like, especially in college, like you just have to go catch the ball, right?
I'm sure your legs felt better.
Yeah, I mean, it was from like a workload perspective, it was awesome, right? Just going from catching to that, but yeah, so went out to the outfield and ended up sticking there for the rest of the college career. And I honestly had always thought maybe like especially professionally like I might have to pick up catching again. But yeah, it was nice to spend 4 years in the outfield for sure.
So you guys this year, your senior year, won the A10, got to go down to Baton Rouge for a regional in LSU. Probably an incredible experience. So I guess if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then two, what was it like to have that winning season your last year after 3 straight kind of losing seasons to start the?
Yeah. I think kind of what you said there at the end, like the fact that the 3 losing seasons before, we were good. It was funny. We had a lot of talent those 3 years. Like we just kind of underachieved a little bit, couldn't really close big games, whatever it was. It was frustrating for sure. Like obviously nobody wants to spend 3 years in a row in college like losing. But we got lucky where we didn't lose a lot of guys. Like especially now with the portal, it's easy to walk into a brand new locker room every year. That wasn't really the case for us. Like I think the class that I came in with, we only lost 2, maybe 3 guys from the time that we came in and the time we graduated. And a lot of those guys were big pieces on our team my senior year. But yeah, just like talking about last year, it was awesome. Like we knew we were going to be pretty good. We had a ton of experience coming back, which especially like I think at the mid-major level is something that is like invaluable, right? If you have guys that have played in big games before, have played like college baseball games before, like it elevates the level of play a little bit. We started off really good, had a couple really big wins. I think our first weekend series was at William & Mary. We played 7 innings and won 36-22.
I remember you sent me did you see this box score? And I'm like, what?
Unreal. It was
was it the 3rd day of the series?
It was the 3rd day of the series.
Man.
So it was.
Get out there.
We won the first game by, I want to say we won by 1. Like got out of a jam at the end of the game, and then lost the second game. It was actually the second half of a doubleheader. And the wind started, the sun went down, right, and it was cold, like beginning of the year, Virginia, and the wind started howling out. And it was like, I'm talking like 35, 40 miles an hour, like straight. Like I want to say we hit 5 or 6 home runs that game where they were just like pop-ups. I mean, I
You're
had
like
one.
slamming
I
your
hit one
bat
at the
down
end
and like
yes.
looking up, you're like, oh my God, that's going.
Oh, I hit one at the end of the game where, like, I'll be the first. I didn't hit it that well, and like it was a good launch angle, like out to right center.
You're back at Haverford again.
Exactly. It went like 50 feet over the fence, and I was like, "Oh,
all right."
But it was fun. It was a fun game. I think we went up big early, and then we went down like 14 to like 6 or so. Like, it was one of those games where if you look at the box score, like it was wild. I think that, and they like. Which was great for hitters, is their scorekeeper that weekend was super generous. So like on the box score for me, like I think I'm listed as 4 for 6, but 2 or 3 of them were like I hit like a chopper down the first base line that the first baseman missed, and they gave me a double for it. So it was awesome. Like
consistent for everybody.
Yeah, you know what? Right?
Pitchers aren't feeling the same way.
I was gonna say, how are the pitchers after that? Were they a little? It might have been like a quiet bus.
A little bit. Like it was a little bit of. Obviously, we were super happy that we won, and we were all like our team was super close, where like we could get on the bus and give the pitchers a little bit of banter for it. Like it wasn't like we were butting
snap
heads
back
or
at
anything.
you.
Because to be completely honest, like we and honestly we probably didn't see it at the time. I think as a lineup we were probably frustrated, like because that was kind of a trend early in the season. Like we would score a lot of runs, but we also would give up a lot of runs, and it was almost like, all right, man, like at some point we need to get more outs. Like we need to give up less runs. And like I say that because of how good they were the rest of the season. Like once they kind of figured out, just like, I mean, they all had talent, right? But the beginning of the season's hard for anybody. And like, especially they're pitching in cold weather. Like they're playing against really good lineups. Like we schedule really good teams in the beginning of the year at Rhode Island. And like once they got in a groove, like they bailed us out at the end of the season. When we get to the A10 tournament, and we had a really good offense. We were scoring a ton of runs. We got to the A10 tournament as the number 1 seed, so we only had to win. Essentially, all we had to do was win 3 games in a row, and we would have got in, won a championship that way. I think we scored 6 runs our first game against Davidson. We got a big grand slam was like the only kind of offense that we produced that game. And then we were up like 2-1 in the 8th inning and ended up kind of blowing it open a little bit of our next game. And then the championship against a really good George Mason offense, I think we gave up 3 or 4 runs. Or not even that, 1 run. We gave 1 run. We scored 3. But again, we weren't scoring in the A10 championship. So if our pitching, didn't step up, we probably would have flamed out a little bit.
And that's probably a one-bid league, right? Like I'm sure you had,
Yeah.
or at least it definitely made
almost
your stomachs
always
a little better.
almost always is
Yeah.
like we wouldn't, if we didn't win, we wouldn't have gotten an at-large.
That was
just
my
'cause
question, yeah.
you don't have the strength of schedule. Like we had some good wins. Like we played Oregon at Oregon at the beginning of the year. We beat them once. I mean, we played them 4 times. We won the first game.
It's better than, yeah.
And then the next 2 games were super close, and then the depth just kind of catches up to you a little bit, and we got smoked at the end. We beat a really good New Mexico team, and then had some good wins in the middle of the season. But we're never too big league. And then obviously going down to Baton Rouge was sweet. Like they have some of the most passionate fans in the country. They have an awesome stadium.
You guys didn't play them, right?
No, we didn't, which would have been super cool, but like we got to watch the game where they played Little Rock to start. So we actually, it was a weird situation. Like we went down there and there was like thunderstorms off and on all day. LSU was supposed to play the first game against Little Rock, and then we were supposed to follow that against Dallas Baptist. Their 1 o'clock game got pushed to like 8:30 local time start. So like they didn't start till late at night. We ended up, first pitch of our game was like 11:59, which like you had to start before 12 or else they would push it to the next day. But so we played super late. There was nobody there. Like everyone had pretty much gone home. But a benefit to that was we pretty much sat in the stands for the whole first half of the game in front of us. And like we're getting screamed at, like, because we're all in like our gear, you know what I mean? Like, pants.
Like we're coming for you
And,
next.
Like, you got like drunk frat kids like coming up to you, and it's like I'm not gonna say.
Yeah. It's like we're not even playing you.
Obviously,
Yeah.
blur it out, but they're just
Yeah.
like, you came to the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're basically like we're gonna beat the shit out of you.
And in a little bit, in a way, you're like, sorry, we say whatever. In a way, you're almost like, this got awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
It was
you're like,
awesome.
I'm enjoying.
I remember I sat there and I talked to a kid, frat kid, like he was so drunk, couldn't even like slurring his words, like couldn't even open his eyes. He stood next to me for like 30 minutes just talking about
ball.
like, dude, this place is awesome. Like, and I was playing right that night, so he was basically telling me, he was like, hey, if you're in right field and you play LSU, like you're gonna wish that you guys didn't make it here. And I was just like, okay,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like I almost was like, all right, I kind of want to try that out. Like,
In
I hope
your
we
head,
get
you're
to
like,
play LSU.
do I get a 5th year of eligibility to come down
Gosh,
here?
man. Yeah,
you know?
exactly. But it was awesome. Like just to see, because you don't really see that at obviously like any mid-major school, but like especially you go to a school like LSU, ended up winning the national championship. Like it's just such a different level. Like those people are genuinely crazy, and I mean that in a good way. Like they are just
like Philly fans.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
But it's crazy when it's directed towards you. Like it's easy for me to sit in like the link and scream at the guys
Yeah.
and be like, these guys suck, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's like when you're playing and people like hate you, it's like it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It was an awesome experience, and I think just having that season pan out the way that it did, kind of gave me a little bit of I don't know if it's closure, but like the fact that I didn't really know if I was going to get to play anymore. It was kind of like, you know what, if this is what's my last taste of like, you know, competitive baseball, then I wouldn't have it any other way than, you know, finishing out with these guys and winning a conference championship.
Yeah.
So
And I'm sure, not to assume anything, but I'm sure at some point in your college career, you maybe thought what the portal would hold, but you stayed and you wrote it out. And I don't know what your major was or what academics, but like I'm sure some part of you at some point was like, what if I went to like a different higher program? But you stayed, and that had to be pretty gratifying.
yeah, and I think like it's whether you say it or not publicly, like I would be lying if I sat up here and said that I never even considered it, right? Like I'm not gonna act like I was always like, this is it. I'm staying around.
It's just doing
It's
your
just
due
the nature
diligence,
of-
you know?
Yeah.
And you know, I definitely considered it a couple times. Just like the thought of like, all right, what if? Like maybe like what kind of interest would I get if I were to enter the portal? But for me, it was always like they were my only Division I offer out of high school. Like I didn't have anything else. And I basically walked in and was given the opportunity to play pretty much right away as a freshman. Actually struggled a lot during my sophomore and junior year, like stretches. Ended up finishing the years decent, like statistically. Like if you just look on the surface, it wasn't bad. But like to start my junior year, I started like 0 for 25 to start the year, and I was like, I can't touch
I actually
anything.
remember this because I think Mike Anderson was struggling too.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were doing our recaps, I'm like, yo, these guys are like 0 for 60
Like,
this
they
year.
haven't
I'm like,
touched it. Yeah,
I'm like,
I remember
there's
that.
nothing for me to write about.
We could write about how bad they are.
Yeah, I'm like,
About it.
I just every week I'd go back. I'm like, yo, what is going on? I'm like, I know they'll figure it out, but
It was,
your
man.
brain's
it was-
not telling you that.
It was hard. Like, but again, like on that point, like I came out like once or twice, and even then, like the head coach would come up to me and be like, "Hey," like, and almost try to explain it. But I would say to him, and we were very close. So I would say to him, "I was listen, I haven't got a hit in 2 series. Like, you don't have to explain why I'm not in the lineup today. You know what I mean? But it's like, I always had that kind of leash of knowing that I can stink, essentially, and I'll basically have my spot in the lineup. I don't say that like there wasn't a competitive culture there, but like, I guess like I had proven that I could have success at that level, right? So it was like, you kind of know a little bit, whereas you're not pressing as much. And it's not that way for everybody, but like I had that, I would say, especially my junior year. But yeah, so like that was extremely gratifying, staying back to kind of where we started, like finishing out that year and bringing a championship. Like, we hadn't won one in a while. We actually had the best season in program history in terms of wins. I think we finished like 38-22 or 36-22.
That's what my
Right
Google
on
Docs
here.
say.
Is that
I
what
wrote it
Nailed
down
it.
because I saw that when I think you guys had 22 conference wins this year.
Yeah,
and you didn't have you had 23 wins your sophomore year, like total.
Yes,
and that
exactly.
was the most going into that.
We
year.
set so many records that senior year, like, and like I said, a lot of that group was seniors, and like my roommate, my best friend, his name's Anthony DePino. He could have probably played at any school in the country after his freshman year. I think he's the program home run leader by like 25, 30 home runs. Like, it's not even close.
He's
Like,
got
he had,
some
like,
breathing room.
He hit like 16 home runs his freshman year, and then like 16, 18, and then he had a monster.
Did he get
senior
picked
year.
up?
Yeah, he got drafted in the 7th round by the White Sox.
Nice.
Had a monster senior year. Like, I think he had 20 doubles, 20 homers, 20 stolen bases. He was like the first like
Jesus.
college player to go 20, 20,
That's
20,
crazy.
or I could be completely making that up, but he set a bunch of
I
records.
believe it. I
So
believe it.
he was just like, and then we had other senior pitchers and other senior position players like that all stayed. Like a bunch of super talented kids that could have left. But yeah, it was awesome. Like, my reasoning was just like I said. Like, I had a lot of loyalty from that coaching staff. Like, they were always really good to me and good to a lot of us players. So. And I don't say that to, like, I completely understand why people leave schools now. Like, I'm not saying that to knock anybody
Yeah, of course.
by any means. It's just like, for me, it probably wouldn't have been the best decision. So it definitely was a super rewarding feeling to have a good last year there, for sure.
Was it weird going from Baton Rouge to playing in the Delco League the next time you took the field? Because you got a couple games in, right?
Yeah, I played. So I ended up playing for the Drexel Hill team I probably played a good 5 or 6 games there. It was a blast. Like, I mean, I played in the Delco League during COVID.
I think that's where I don't know if "met's" the word, but I found out
Yes.
you existed
Yes.
when you're on the Mudcats, because I was
Yeah.
playing first and you smoked a triple, and I looked to whoever was playing second. I'm like, who the hell is that
Yeah,
guy? I'm like,
yeah,
who the
that
hell
was-
is that guy?
That
I
was
thought it's Genther.
what was that?
Because we weren't covering high school baseball when you guys were there.
I was
think
gonna
it
say,
was
yeah.
I think we started doing the Delco League in 22, so when you were up in the college league,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
spring of 23 was when high school started.
Yeah, so I actually did 2 seasons in Delco League. I played during the COVID year when it was like
That league was
stacked.
that league was
Oh my God!
Stacked.
I think there was
Insane.
probably
I was
Wayne probably had like 11 minor
Oh my
leaguers
gosh.
on their
I
team.
remember playing again. I was like so that would have been either my sophomore or going into my junior year of high school, or the other way around. Or I guess it would have been going into my senior year.
Yeah, going to senior.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I was with the Black Sox at
Okay.
the time, and like we were good. We had some really good players too, but like I remember playing against Wayne, and it's just like
Newell,
loaded
Alden
with
Mathis,
talent.
like that
And
dude,
it's just-
Ed Paparella.
Oh my God! I forgot about
they
him.
had
Yeah.
everybody, and then obviously going back this year was awesome. I got to play with a ton of Bonner guys, like some kids that I knew that I got to play with a little bit growing up too, and it was awesome. Like it was another thing where it was like, you know what, if I don't get to play professionally, like, you know, I
Always come back and have some
to
fun.
make a
Yeah,
playoff
that's
run with
always
the Ducks.
it.
So it was.
Well, I
it was
say in a
kind of
nice way.
win-win.
I hope we don't see you back in the Delco League anytime soon.
You will someday. Someday. Hopefully it's postponed a little bit,
Yeah.
but I'll be back someday.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in. Glad we could
Thank
get
you
you
guys for having
in
me on.
person, of
Yeah.
course. Best of luck with the off season. When you go back around like Valentine's Day, I feel like that's around where it is.
normally guys will. I'm gonna probably head back in January just to get back down early, like with catching and
Not be
you know,
cold.
Yeah.
They encourage. Yeah, exactly. They encourage
Warm
coming
weather.
back down early.
Yeah.
So I'll probably go down a little early to get reacclimated to it all. But January for me, and then full go through the season from
Awesome,
that
man.
point. So
Looking forward to keeping in touch. Good
let's
luck.
do it.
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Thank you guys for having me on. That was awesome.
Thank you.